Now everything is in grayscale, which is not the thing we're actually looking for. It might be helpful if you produce black and white maps, but also then I would go for a little styling of the data and not leaving them like they are now. But we want to make a nice colorful map, which is a little bit more complicated, and we will go through all the steps necessary. First of all, I will produce some more groups. Always clean up your data a little bit, because it can be quite complicated to figure out what is hidden between what data set. For example, now our maritime data set is still called GapGo something. I'm also going to export it. We're going to export, save as, 3 points, go to the Haiti map DEM folder, and I will call it Haiti C. And go to save. We leave everything like it is. We also need to reproject it. Of course, we also run a little bit now in the problem with the artifacts we have seen in the elevation model of the island itself, but you will see it will not affect us much because the data resolution is not as good. It's just around 500 meters per pixel, so we will not see these artifacts so much. But of course, you also would have the possibility to put it into Saga GIS and to filter it and to import it again. But we will not do that now. Okay, and now we can also put this one in our folder. That's our DM, and we will put the one, the C, like this, and we delete this one. Okay. We can put also this one in the raw data, and now we are done. So all we need is our hillshade, our clipped DM in the background, and our C. The hillshade we will leave like it is. We will not touch it. But what we want to do now is, of course, we also want some colorization depending on the altitude. So maybe you switch off the hillshade for a while. Now we see it's black and white, and we want to change it. Take care that you choose the right one. Here you have a list. We're going for our DM clipped, and you set it to this one, single band pseudo color. Now it's set to blue. That's of course not what we want. And to get a nice looking color ramp, you have to take this small arrow which is facing downwards, and here you can now choose between all the standard color ramps which are delivered with QGIS, but of course that's not really helpful displaying topographical data. Therefore, again, small button downwards, and you go to create new color ramp. Here, if you would leave this one, you could create your own color ramp by yourself. Sometimes it's necessary, but usually that's a very complicated and cumbersome process. So I recommend to leave it alone. And you go to this one, Catalog CPT City. And if you click it and you press OK, then you will be led to this one, and you can see there are more than 1,000 pre-made color ramps, and we are looking for topography. Here you have now quite a choice of different topographical color ramps. It's not always the perfect one, and of course the colorization is of course highly dependent on where on the planet you are working or you want to produce maps. So if you are in a very arid region, I would go of course for this one, but in this case I think that's a quite humid area with a lot of green. I would go for DM print. That usually looks quite nice. And if you press OK, now you can see what happens. The lower parts are green, and it will go up to the darkish brown. I think it's not perfect yet, because what I don't like, it's too greenish and the mountains are not standing out. First of all, I want to get rid of the white parts because I don't think there's any snow in it. Just double click it, and now you can go with this small tool and you can sample the color. And I would sample the dark brown and just make it a little bit darker, like this. Now we go back and we'll do the same here now for the gray color, and now you can see now all these parts are gone. I will also darken them a little bit, a little bit more, so it should look like this. But still we haven't solved the problem with our color ramp. I think I still don't like it. Maybe make it a little bit more reddish. Do the same for this one. Yeah, I like that much more. So if you double click on the color ramp itself, this window will open. And of course, if you now move down these arrows here, you might have a much better distribution of the values. Press OK. Maybe even a little bit more. Yeah, so it's looking much better. Of course, you can play around with it forever to make it really nice looking. What you can, of course, do is to have a look for other maps you already have available, how they are styled, and you simply can copy it to the way you like it. Next we are going to do is to style our sea. And again, we go for the Tudor color. That looks nice, but we will not stay with it. We go again for create new color ramp, go for the CPT city, and go now for bathymetry. There are also several available. I like this one, but to show you how to change it, I will just choose this one. And it looks not really nice. And if you now go again for the small button here and go to edit color ramp, you will not be led to the possibility where you can change the sliders, but you will directly be led to this one, so you can just choose another one. Makes things much easier, because sometimes you need to play around with it a lot to find one which really fits your needs. Now we take this one. It's looking not so bad, but it's not as I like it. I will change the saturation a little bit to make it a little bit more blue, and I will also raise the contrast. What of course would be possible to also produce now a hill shade of this one. We can do it, raster analysis and hill shade. So from the CDM, leave everything like it is and just press 1. Now we would have like also a DEM from this one, and now we are going to combine them. So with the hill shade switched on, we go now to the layer rendering, and here now you go for multiply, and that will combine now our both data sets. Now you can see we have a combination now of our hill shade we produced out of our DEM and the colorized version of our DEM itself. But that doesn't look really nice because the resolution of our DEM is not really good. And what you can do then, go to this menu entry, and here you now can change the opacity. And I would dim it down to like 7 or 8%. So you have a very, very slightly 3D effect, but you won't see any of the errors derived from the bad resolution and from the transformation error of this data set. So next step would be to do the same now for our land hillshade. Again, go to this one and go to multiply. Now it's of course much too dark, therefore we need to go now for our DM and brighten it a lot, a little bit too much, and we need to raise the saturation. And also here we will go for the opacity slider and take it down to maybe 50. So we still have a quite good visible 3D effect, but also a nice bright colorization of our DM. I still don't like it so much. Maybe I will raise the saturation a little bit. It's too bright. You can play around with the sliders until you really like it. I would say we can leave it like this. And that would be the basic for the production now of our historical map from the 19th century.